Happy Tank Tuesday, folks, and if you are not subscribed, go ahead and hit that button, because as you will see in this video, we have some of the most aggressive fish on YouTube. We got Bonnie on top, Sheriff the Bluegill below him, and Clyde over here. And we're going to be doing a lot of different things in this video. We're going to be removing these houses, and the only reason we had houses in the aquarium was because we have crawfish in our tank, and we wanted to give them a place to hide from these bass. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the houses out, we're going to bring both of them out, and we're going to go in with different types of stones and rocks, and we're going to give the crawfish, they're still going to be able to hide in there, they can get in there and hide, but it's going to be a lot more natural look, kind of like some of this dragon stone. But first of all, I stand by as I tell these fish what we have just put in our 55-gallon aquarium. Bonnie, can you believe that we put 2 sharks in our 55-gallon aquarium? No, I know, you can't believe it, but they're not going to be more aggressive than you 3. I can guarantee you that. So, without further ado, let's go check out our new pets. If you missed our last Tank Tuesday, we planted our 55-gallon aquarium, and now we have added some fish. And check out these 2 guys. They are Colombian sharks, and they're freshwater, and they travel together. They're like schooling sharks. They're together, they're floating upside down sometimes as they eat, but they're 2 cool little fish. And as always with all of our pets in our aquariums, we're going to let you guys name them. So you name these 2 sharks, but we also have 2 other fish in here. We put one in that you guys highly suggested, and that was a channel catfish, a really small one. And then we also have an albino catfish, and they hide a little bit, especially back there behind that piece of wood, but as soon as we put some food in, they'll come out and start going nuts. And the channel catfish, it seems like he can swim 100 miles an hour. He's faster than even these sharks. But what we're planning on doing is, I know that especially that channel catfish can grow, really big. They can grow, easily over 20 pounds. So what we may do is raise him in this aquarium, and then if he gets big enough, we'll put him in the aquarium with Bonnie and Clyde whenever he gets so big that they can't eat him. And then we'll probably have Sheriff, Bonnie, and Clyde in that aquarium along with the new catfish. So I'm going to drop some fish food in, some flakes, and then you're going to be able to see these guys come to life. Alright, we're going to drop some flaked food here at the surface. And the catfish have one of the best senses of smell I've ever seen. They can, it's almost instantly whenever you put that food in there, they start going wild. So there's the albino catfish. He'll come out. Yep, they're starting to smell it. So you see the sharks feeding just like 2 normal saltwater sharks would. We got the albino cat coming out, but they're bottom feeders, so they don't feed up at the surface like these sharks do. They like to eat on the bottom. That's why you can see how close to the bottom this one's staying right here. But I saw the channel cat, he was racing across the back there somewhere. Let's see if we can, there he is. He's swimming on the bottom back there in the back. Alright guys, there's our little channel cats. They're both hanging out together. As always, we're going to let you guys name them. Alright, I just put some food down there by the return pipe, so we're going to see if it'll shoot some down there to those bottom feeders. Yep, now they're coming out. That's the trick. If you have catfish, you get that food to sink down to the bottom before those aggressive sharks eat it all up. Alright, and there's Mr. Channel Catfish. It's pretty cool seeing bottom feeders, as we've had bass and bluegill for so long. These are actually going to be really good at helping clean stuff. Look how fast he is. Man, they're quick. But they'll help clean up the bottom. But we're also going to get some algae eaters. We considered getting some freshwater shrimp that you could put in here, but they told us that these catfish would eventually get big enough and they'd eat the shrimp. So we're only going to put things in here that would go along with the fish that we've got in already. We're also planning on catching a small crappie or white perch, and that's going to be tough to do because we want them to be really small. That way they can stay in this tank for a long time and not outgrow it. So that is something we're going to do, and if any of you have any recommendations on how to catch a small perch, then let us know. What we're thinking of is maybe a cast net or something, and just kind of getting lucky. We may have to do it in the springtime. I don't know if there's still some really small ones out there, but if you have any recommendations on how to catch them, let us know. Also, tell us what you want us to name these guys. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the stones that we're going to be putting in the aquarium. This is what I call the mega stone. It's a really big piece of dragon stone, and then all these smaller pieces are Sierra stone. And what we're going to do is give them a really good washing and even scrub these and let them make the colors stand out really good. And if we have any Game of Thrones fans out there, you know that dragon stone and dragon glass prepare you for the winter that's coming. So Bonnie and Clyde and Sheriff should be good. But right now it's 100 degrees in the summer, so we are going to wash these off and put them in the aquarium. Alright, now we're about to do our weekly water change, and whenever we bring the water levels down, we're going to remove the houses and add the rocks. But something cool I wanted to show you, I'm not sure how good you can see the level of it, but one of these fish has been fanning down here on the bottom, and I know at night they sleep down here on the bottom, but one of them has actually fanned a lot of the rocks up under the dragon stone and has been sleeping or laying down here on the bottom. I thought that was pretty cool that they've already started fanning. It could be that bluegill right there, because it kind of looks like I'm invading his house. Is that right, Sheriff? Alright, now we're about to start pumping the water out. Alright, so we got our water levels down. Now it's time to take our houses out, and I bet you we're going to see some crawfish. So I'm going to get Liz to go ahead and pull one of those houses out, and maybe they can survive until we get the rocks put in. Yep. And by the way, folks, that is, ooh, there's a lot of debris up under there, but that is Larry the Lobster. There was about 1,000 comments of you guys that wanted to name him Larry the Lobster, so that is going to be his name. You can see those claws on him. There's a lot of debris in there, so you can't see great, but he's hiding back there behind that little bush. Alright, let's take this other house out.
Should be a little guy in there.
Yep, there he is. He's hanging on. See if you can shake him out there. That's Red Jr. Here, I'll get him. Red Jr.
There he goes.
There he goes. And he's going to hide up under the bonsai tree. So that's 2 of them. And I'm pretty sure that Red has been hanging out in that little rock crevice there. At night you can see his little whiskers poking out of there. But alright, so now we are little Larry's coming out to eat, but now we're going to start putting some rocks and stones in here and seeing what it looks like. Alright, first up is the mega stone. Alright, while we got old Larry the Lobster out, we're going to go ahead and feed him. Drop some bottom pellets down there, and he should eat pretty good. Yep, he found the food and is going to town. As Bonnie's yawning right there. Alright, we're going to talk about our magnet. It's been really hard for us to find a good magnet for this aquarium because it's made out of acrylic, and acrylic scratches extremely easy. But Liz has found a solution for us, and she's going to tell you about that now.
So this is the outer part of Adobe pad. It's made by Scotch-Brite. And what we did is we cut the pad open. It has this cover on it. It has a sponge on the inside. So we took the sponge out of it and laid it over our magnet that goes on the inside. And so when you feel of it, it kind of feels like coarse when you go this way, but then up and down it's really soft. And we've tested it both ways, and neither way scratched the acrylic.
It kind of feels like shark skin, folks.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So that's this is the part that goes on the inside of the aquarium.
And then on the outside, because even the felt pad on the outside was scratching the tank, so we took a microfiber cloth and cut it, put it on the outside, and so we haven't had any scratches with this. Yep,
so that's just your typical cloths like this that are really soft, and they do not scratch the tanks. Alright, after a couple hours of aquascaping, this is our final result. We got the mega stone with stones around it. Fish like it. You guys tell us what you think down below. We got Stonehenge over here, we got the Mega Stone, we got the bonsai tree, we got Red Junior hanging out up under that plant right there. We got Larry the Lobster, you can barely see one of his pinchers right there. And then we got old Red, he's hanging out right there. You might barely be able to see him. You can see his whiskers poking out right there. So the crawfish have places to hide. The bass are happy, the bluegills are happy. We got some good aquascaping going on in here. Y'all let us know what you think about it below. So now I'm going to answer some of the questions from last Tank Tuesday's video as I roll some of these feeding video clips from this past week. Alright, first question comes from Dalton Kretschmer. Will you ever weigh the fish? Well, when you weigh the fish, you have to take them out of the tank, usually with a net or something. That puts a lot of stress on them. So there's really not enough reason to take them out of the tank and add that stress just to get a weight. But if we ever transfer them to another tank, we will use one of those nets that has a scale in it. We'll try to get a weight on them then for you. Alright, next question comes from Dustin Daughtry. I have 2 bass in a 75 gallon, and one that's 8 inches and one that's 9 inches, and the bigger one is charging the smaller one but not actually being aggressive or biting. So my question is, did Bonnie and Clyde act like this, or is this something I need to worry about? Well, if you ever see bass charging each other, it's because they're being territorial. And a lot of times, you know, unless it's the spawn, largemouths like to have their own individual space, and they don't want another bass in there competing for food. So the bigger one will sometimes bully. But we haven't had that happen but just a couple of times, and that was right when Bonnie and Clyde were getting a little too big for the 55-gallon aquarium, and that's when they started acting aggressive towards each other. So it may be that they've already outgrown your 75-gallon tank. That would be my guess. Next question from Ellis III. How many minnows per fish and how often do you feed them? Well, we feed them every day, but if you ever studied largemouth bass, they're lazy predators. So if they had minnows swimming around in the tank with them, they wouldn't eat near as often, but they know whenever we're dropping minnows out of the net that they have an easy target, so they'll go ahead and feed all at once at night whenever we drop them in. And so I'd say on average we feed the bass, you know, 4 to 5 minnows a piece each day, and the bluegill usually eats a couple minnows and some crickets or worms. Next question from Max L. If you're thinking of getting a catfish, you could consider a gulper catfish. No one has them as pets on YouTube, and with the amount of views that you receive, it will be a savage new content to bring to your channel. You just got to check it out. Max, I went and looked at some videos of gulper catfish, and there's no way we're putting one of those in this tank. It would eat every fish. I've never seen any fish that could eat another fish that was probably 90% of the size of itself. But the gulper catfish, just say if you had a 1-pound gulper catfish, he could probably eat close to a 1-pound bait fish. So they would eat everything in the tank. So there's no way we're putting one of those in, but I appreciate the heads up on the gulper. That's an interesting catfish for sure. Alright, and the last question is, how is Lucky doing? If you guys remember Lucky the frog, or it used to be a tadpole when it was in our aquarium, Lucky grew up and he outgrew our fountain, and he hopped off, I'm sure, somewhere out in the backyard. We hadn't seen him in a little while, but I will be on the lookout for him, and you can bet if we see him we will add him to the video. Alright folks, that's going to wrap up this Tank Tuesday. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, because we are rolling out clips of these tanks every Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next Tuesday.
Bonnie and Clyde were pretty looking people, but I can tell you people, they were the devil's children.